Hi, welcome to the channel if you've never been here before, and if you have been here before, then welcome back. So today, I'm going to show off a little bit more of my project for writing a video game pack for Lego D&D. Now, if you're not familiar with a video game pack, what it is a collection of video game loops that is designed specifically for indie video games. So what happens is I put together a collection of pre-made video game music loops that is available for anyone to go and access anytime for, a small fee. Now, this is a work in progress, and I'm trying to show off as best as I can as I am really happy with each of the songs that I produce. And this one, it took a minute to really get to a point where I was really happy to show it off because it was really challenging. And that's because this particular track is for this character, whose name I think is pronounced like Szass, I think is how you technically pronounce it. But what he is a lich, and a lich is a zombie. I mean, let's be real. That's what it is a type of zombie. And so to try and capture the concept of a zombie, but make it fit with a Lego game is really challenging. And honestly, that's been part of the fun about this whole project, is that D&D is generally very serious, and Lego is very lighthearted and kid-friendly. So how do you blend the two? And that's been the challenge, and I'm actually really excited to show you what I've come up with for the Lich. So I'm going to show you what I ended up writing, and then I'm going to talk about the process of how I came to write it, and maybe how it works within the world of a Lego video game. So let's check out the full track first. All right, so let's break down what's happening here. So one thing that I knew I wanted from the start was for it to sound kind of otherworldly, something that did not sound right and uncomfortable. And the way that I achieved that was by using a whole tone scale. So just to give you an idea of what a whole tone scale is if you're not familiar, usually a scale consists of a combination of whole tones and half tones. And a whole tone is just the space in between two white notes if there's a black note in the middle. Another way you could think about it is that there are two half steps in a whole step. So if you think about the C, a whole step would be up to D, and a half step would be a C sharp or a D flat. And if you think about most scales, like I said, it's a mixture. So if you just take a major scale, you have from C, a whole note, then a half note, then a whole note, whole note, whole note, half note. And most scales are a combination of those notes, usually having only two half note distances, with some variation in that, of course. But a whole tone scale is a scale that only uses whole tones. And so it's easy to think about. You only have the distance of a whole tone between each note. So you would have, starting with C, whole tone, And then you get weird by going a whole tone above this. And it has this really weird feeling because it doesn't have really an established feeling of home like a lot of the other scales do. Because you can go here. Are we home? It's uncomfortable because you don't know where to really settle in. I knew that I really wanted to lean into that. I wanted to lean into that discomfort, but I wanted there to be something consistent. So what I ended up starting with, I actually originally had the basses come down here and be a consistent pedal C. And that just lasted pretty much the entire song. And it got boring. It just got boring. And it didn't really sound like a Lego video game. And so I went kind of plucky. I took the bass and staccato, which just means short, but also muted. And this is what you hear. And this is supported by what is pretty much the only percussion. But I really wanted to sound like this is a heartbeat almost. Something kind of tense. Now, one of the nice things about using a whole tone scale is that because there's no place of home, no place of comfort, you really just get to throw everything at it that you want, anything that sounds remotely interesting or good, and just hope it sticks. And if it sticks, you can run with it. And that's part of why I was a little nervous to bring out this track until I was really comfortable with it, because it does sound weird, but when you bring it all together, it gives the atmosphere and the environment of discomfort and otherworldliness. So let's check this out. So you get these notes like from the marimba that are just octaves with the bass. Something to give you this sense of stability. I actually ended up using a muted piano, which is not something I would have thought about using for kind of a D&D fantasy medieval track, but it really works, this particular sample. It has sort of a pluckiness to it. And one thing I did think worked really well was also this bagpipe sample. Because again, it doesn't sound quite like a bagpipe. It gives that same sense of like something eerie, but something familiar. And when you really get the bagpipe to shine is when it duets with this thing called a lure horn, which I'll solo this so you can hear exactly what this sounds like. I really liked the aggressiveness, the abrasiveness of it, but also I'm pretty sure that it's made of bone, which would make sense for a bunch of zombies. So I paired that with the bagpipe to have this really weird sound. In context, it does give a very interesting vibe, but I don't think it really takes you out of the fantasy environment. And one thing that I found that really helped tie together this first section were these Viking growls. It's literally just some guy kind of muttering things in a growly voice. It sounds like dead people, is what it sounds like. And I ended up using both the muttering and just a low growl to really give a little more emphasis into the fact that this is a bunch of dead people. I also ended up using a crystal glass that's being, you know, when you wet your finger on it and you rub around it like that, that sound very low, very subtle. But it adds to, again, the creepiness and the atmosphere. Check this out. And there's a growl. I love that part with like the growly chant, like oh no. It's so cool. All the while, marimba, again, kind of bringing in these weird whole tone things. What really brings out, again, a weirdness is you have this instrument called a ney. Which by itself already sounds kind of creepy, kind of screechy. But then again, I brought in this glass sound. And it's subtle, but when you hear it together, it sounds like its own instrument. Like, it doesn't sound like two instruments together. It sounds like its own thing. Like the breath itself is kind of screechy and kind of scratchy in a way. And as this goes along, you have these melodic ideas with, again, the whole tone scale. Now, you do have a couple of other things in here that feel a little more familiar. There's a hurdy-gurdy. Some strings come in to kind of wrap things up at the end. But one of the things that I found that really tied it together was this sample called Trumpet Fields. It's from Spitfire Audio Labs, and it's a sample called Bitten Bumblebee. And literally, this is just the sample right out. Which was cool, and I liked that sound because it does give you the brass sound, but again, the otherworldliness, the creepiness, the discomfort, and it actually kind of accidentally created a motif where we're going to step out of the whole tone scale for a second and just go to the minor scale and then come back into the scale. You can kind of hear that, the something like that. The marimba's going to echo it. And then when it loops, we're going to get back into that whole tone scale of discomfort and otherworldliness. So we had a moment where we got to see the minor scale, something that we were familiar with, and then we go right back into the discomfort and the weirdness. And even so, when we go to the minor scale, it's not meant to be comfortable. You know, it's just a little more comfortable than what we had before. So that's the breakdown of my track for Lego D&D Lich. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video, and make sure you subscribe so you keep in touch with the next time that I release something about Lego D&D, or even one of my other videos about writing Lego music or analyzing the history of Lego video game music. If you like this video, make sure that you like and also leave me a comment. I try and respond to as many as I can, but also just love hearing from you guys. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.